Welcome back to Athletic Avengers, your go-to spot for the latest in sports, combat, and all things epic. Today, we're diving into the cruiserweight clash that had everyone buzzing. Jake Paul versus Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., the problem child, dominated. Let's break it down, talk highlights, and see what's next for Jake Paul, including some wild callouts for Tank Davis and Canelo Alvarez. Smash that like button, subscribe, and let's get into it. On June 28, 2025, at the Honda Center in Anaheim, California, Jake Paul stepped into the ring against former WBC middleweight champ Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. The fight went the full 10 rounds, and Jake Paul cruised to a unanimous decision victory with scores of 99-91, 97-93, and 98-92. Paul was in control from the jump, using his jab and body shots to outwalk Chavez, who, let's be real, looked flat and barely threw punches in the early rounds. According to CompuBox, Chavez landed 0 punches in round 1. That's right. Paul was sharp, dictating the pace with crisp jabs and hooks, while Chavez, at 39 years old, seemed content just surviving. Chavez did wake up in the final 2 rounds, landing some heavy hooks and a right hand that got the crowd hyped, but it was too little, too late. The pro-Chavez crowd was booing Paul all night, but he soaked it up, even taunting them post-fight, saying, "All the boos are words, but actions speak louder." Paul called this a flawless performance, claiming he only got hit 10 times and embarrassed a guy who's fought Canelo Alvarez. Chavez landed just 61 punches total, compared to Paul's much higher output. The dude's got a point. He made a former champ look ordinary. But let's talk about that stamina. Paul looked gassed in the later rounds, which could be trouble if he faces a more aggressive opponent. The card wasn't just about Paul. In the co-main event, Gilberto Zurdo Ramirez defended his WBA and WBO cruiserweight titles against Uniel Dorticos in a gritty unanimous decision win, with scores of 115-112, 115-112, and 117-110. Ramirez outlasted Dorticos' power shots and now has his eyes on unifying belts, maybe against João Pitaya or even Jake Paul. Also, shout out to Floyd Schofield, who stole the show with a first-round TKO over Tevin Farmer. That kid's a problem with this win. Jake Paul improves to 12-1 with 7 knockouts, and he's got big plans. Post-fight, he called out some massive names, including lightweight champ Gervonta Tank Davis and super middleweight king Canelo Alvarez. Now hold up, Tank's a 135-pounder, and Canelo's a whole different beast at 168. Paul's talking a big game, ignoring weight classes, but with his draw power, who knows? A fight with either would be a blockbuster. He also mentioned cruiserweight champs like Ramirez and Badou Jack, plus a rematch with Tommy Fury. The WBC and WBA might even rank Paul after this, which has some fans heated, saying he's dodging real boxers like Vidal Riley or Chevin Clark. So what's next for the problem child? Tank Davis is coming off a controversial draw with Lamont Roach Jr., and Canelo just signed a big 4-fight deal with Riyadh Season, so those matchups seem like long shots right now. A cruiserweight title shot against someone like Ramirez or Jack feels more realistic, but Paul's got to work on that cardio if he wants to hang with the elite. Love him or hate him, Jake's bringing eyes to boxing, and with a reported $60 million earned in his career, he's laughing all the way to the bank. But here's where the plot thickens. Avengers! The boxing world is straight up divided over Jake Paul. On one side, you've got fans and big-time promoters giving him props. Eddie Hearn, who reps Canelo, says Jake's a PPV king, bringing millions of new eyes to boxing. Bob Arum, a living legend. So how much bank did Jake make? The Jake Paul versus Chavez Jr. fight had a reported prize pool of around $10 million. Jake pocketed at least $5 million guaranteed, with Chavez Jr. taking home at least $1.5 million. But here's the kicker. With PPV sales and sponsorships, Jake's final purse could be way higher. His promoter, Nakisa Bidarian, said the fight's PPV buys were second only to Jake's 2023 Nate Diaz fight, which pulled 450,000 buys. If this one hits similar numbers on DAZN PPV, Jake's cut could push $10 minus $15 million. The live gate, a record $1.57 million for the Honda Center. That's serious cash for a YouTuber. Jake's no stranger to massive paydays. Since turning pro in 2020, he's raked in over $150 million from boxing alone, not counting PPV shares. His biggest, a reported $39 million for beating Mike Tyson in November 2024 on Netflix, which drew a record 108 million viewers globally. Alright, Avengers, so is Jake Paul a legit boxer raking in millions, or just a hype? Signing out.